Alright, so this last video for the chapter, basically we're going to be looking at a table of points with x and y's and trying to figure out if it's showing direct or inverse variation, or it could be neither. Okay? Now you've already practiced identifying if it's direct or inverse by looking at the formula, right? But in that case, that's going to be a lot more work. Okay? So here's going to be the quickest way to do this. Basically, if we remember our two formulas here. So direct variation is y equals k times x. Inverse variation is y equals k divided by x. Okay? So just to once again give you an idea, we're going to be looking at these charts and trying to see what kind of variation they show. They have the x and y's, as you can see here. But if I go through each point and plug in the x and y and then solve for the k, it's going to be a lot of work. Okay? But once again, I have the y and the x, I'm solving for the k. So here's what I can do as a shortcut. Remember chapter 2, literal equations, where you had a bunch of letters and you're moving them around, right? So if I do that here, basically because I'm solving for k, I want to get k by itself now. So if it's k times x, I'm going to divide both sides by x. And that means, in this case, for direct variation, it's k equals y times x. I can maybe write that again here. K equals divided by x. So, if I do that and I get my constants the same, that'll be direct. Okay? But for the inverse, once again, to get k by itself, I would times both sides by x. That's going to leave me with k equals y times x. Or if I flip it, k equals y times x. You can say x times y. It's okay with the commutative property. Alright, so basically, once I've rearranged the equation like this, it's going to be much quicker for me to plug in the x and y's and prove the variation. And here's how we do this. Alright, so let's look at 14 together. Okay, and I'll try to leave these formulas up here, because you're going to be using these old formulas, solve for k. Okay, it comes from the same thing. Alright, so basically, we have to just pick one and start. Alright, so I'm going to try inverse first, because inverse is the easier one. Because the inverse, I just multiply the y times the x, right? Now I'm going to go through these kind of quickly, but when you do it on your own, make sure you go through and use the calculator, okay? But if I multiply my y times my x, so look, 2 times 1 is 2. The constant is 2 in the inverse. 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. 8 times 4 is 32. 10 times 5 is 50. 12 times 6 is 72. So, by using that same formula from the inverse, these are what I got for my k's. Okay? Now let's go and try direct. Now direct is the constant is where y divided by x. Now make sure you go carefully in the order. I have to put the y on top. Okay? A lot of people get in the habit of doing this number first because it looks like it's first, but that's the x. Got to put the y on top. So here it's 2 divided by 1, 2. 4 divided by 2, 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 8 divided by 4, 2. 10 divided by 5, 2. 12 divided by 6, 2. So what does that mean? Well, remember, constant is like the same change, right? And so if you look at all these, the one that is changing the same way each time is the direct. See how the constant's the same, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So this chart is showing direct variation. Alright, now I just kind of showed you this, but really, when you do this, once the constant gives you something different, you can stop. Like when I got 2 to 8, I could have stopped right there. Once it's wrong, it's all wrong. Okay? Alright, so let's try the second chart. So here we have this chart. Now once again, I like to start with the inverse first because it's easier to multiply, right? So in this case, inverse is 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 2/3 times 3, and once again on your calculator, put that in the boxes, okay? But 2/3 times 3 is 2. Now I know it looks like it's good, but make sure you check the whole way. 1/2 times 4 is 2. 2 over 5 times 5 is 2. 3rd times 6 is 2. I don't even have to check the direct. I'm already done, but just to be safe. If I do the direct where I divide y divided by x, 2 divided by 1 is 2. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. It's already changed, so I can stop there. So number 2, my constants were the same on inverse variation. Okay? Alright, the last one we'll do together. So let's look at this one. Got some negatives here, so be careful with your negatives. Inverse is multiplying y and x. So negative 3 times negative 1, positive 3. Negative 9 times negative 3 is 27. I can stop there. It's already changed. Doesn't mean it's direct though. I gotta check, because remember, sometimes it's neither. Just like those graphs last video could be neither inverse or direct. So let's try direct, where we divide y divided by x. Negative 3 divided by negative 1, positive 3. Negative 9 divided by negative 3, positive 3. Negative 12 divided by negative 4, positive 3. Negative 18 divided by negative 6, positive 3. Negative 24 divided by negative 8, positive 3. So this one, in fact, did check out to be direct, because the constant was the same for direct variation. Okay? Alright, so try these next 3. So pause it, try these next 3, and let's check your answers up here. Alright, so for 17, 18, and 19, if you went through and checked for your K's, both 17 and 19 were neither. Okay, none of them had the same constants, and 18 was inverse. Okay, so see me if you have any questions on that before we go on to the practice packets and the word problems.